All right, IM3 classes. Today we are graphing inverse functions. So yesterday we solved for inverses. We did linears, we did radical functions, we did rational functions. Today we're going to be graphing inverse functions. We're going to be focusing on the linear functions today. So let's look at just a review of how to graph a linear function. So we're going to be given equations in the in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. To remember the m, the number that is attached to the x, the coefficient on x, is the slope. The slope is easier as a fraction because we interpret it, the two numbers there, as the rise and the run. So the number on top is the rise, the number on bottom is the run. And then we have the b value, that is the y-intercept. I call that the starting point. That's going to be the first point that we graph on the y-axis, the up and down axis. And this where x is equal to 0. So we're going to start. So let's look at an example here. So first thing you want to do is plot your y-intercept on the y-axis. So let's identify some things first. So the m is the number attached to the slope. I'm actually going to color code some things here. Let me m being green. M, no, I'm going to do m in blue. M is in blue here. So this is the m, right? So m is 2, and that's actually going to be easier as a fraction. So I'm going to make it 2 over 1. So the slope is 2 over 1. The b value, I'm going to do that one in green. So here is the b value. B is 1. So the starting point, the y-intercept, is going to be at the point 0, 1. Is what we're going to start. What I like to do when I'm graphing these is I plot my starting point first, 0, 1. I'm going to put a green star at the starting point just to, oh, can I get it to stop doing, oh, no, it wants to make my life difficult today. Let's see. All right, green star at the starting point, just so we can see where it starts. It's always going to be on the vertical axis, the up and down y-axis. And then from there, from the starting point, I'm going to use the slope. This rise over run, it's positive 2. So from the starting point, I'm going to go count up 2. And the run is 1, so I'm going to go to the right 1. So from here, up 2, right 1. No. From here, up 2, right 1. Is it going to do the, yes, it's going to, oh my God. Oh, and it's the point is staying there. Great. So here, nope, nope. I don't know how to turn this off. Oh, I was getting, this is gonna be a great video for when you're watching. It's gonna keep doing it. And I feel like I should record, start over and figure this out and try to re-record the video, but I'm not going to. It's just gonna be, oh my, I'm gonna start swearing here in a second. So let's see if I can just, oh, look there. I can just put some lines like that. Okay. From there, I go up 2 to the right 1 again. You can also go in the opposite direction to get a straight line. We are doing linear equations here. It just needs to be a straight line. So if you want to go to the starting point and go opposite, you can go down to left 1. All right. And once you have that, you're going to connect the dots with a nice straight line. All right. Let me do one more to see if I can handle the nonsense with the program here. I'm not trying to bring up shortcuts on me. Anyway, the y-intercept. So let's, again, let's start here. So I have -2, 3 is a slope. So that's -2, 3. The y-intercept is 5. Right? So this is the b value. So that means my starting point is going to be at 0, 5. All right. I'm going to put a green star at my starting point. Oh, doesn't even like when I do stars. It's like if I do any kind of circle or connect any sort of thing, it wants to do this stupid shortcut. That's not what I want to turn it off. I don't know how to turn it off. And maybe I should take the time to figure it out. I'm not going to. Anyway, the slope here, I'm going to write it over to the side where I have a little bit more space. It's negative. All right, so what I like to do if it's negative, you got to move in one negative direction. I like to go in a negative direction in the vertical direction. So I'm going to go, say it's a -2 on top. So I'm going to go down 2, and then 3 is positive. You go right 3. So from the starting point, I'm going to go down 2, right 1, 2, 3, put another point, and look at that. It is just trying one more time to irritate me. Do that again, down 2, right 1, 2, 3. And you can always go in the opposite direction, so you can go up 2, left 3. Here's the thing kids get confused with. Uh, they see the negative and they go in 2 negative directions. So they'll go down 2 and then left 3. Well, if you do that, 2 negatives here will make a positive, right? Just like multiplication, a negative times a negative is positive, or division. When you do a negative divide by a negative, you get positive. Same thing here with the slope. If you move in 2 negative directions, down 2, left 3, you're going to end up with a positive slope. So when you have a negative slope, you only move in one negative direction, right? And then, boom, there we go. All right. And that's it. So let's move on to the next thing. We don't need to do a whole bunch of these. This should be review. This is all queued up for other stuff. We are going to be graphing inverse functions now. And so what we need to remember about inverse functions is when you graph them, you switch the x and y. All right. So you take your function, you can solve it to find the inverse like we did yesterday. Right. This equation down here is, this looks kind of weird for something to solve or to graph because it doesn't have a defined, right? And so we're going to talk about what to do. Really, you just want to switch the x and y. So if you look at um, these points here. So here we have the y-intercept here. The coordinate of the y-intercept right there is at 0, 4. All right. All you need to do is switch the x and y to graph to get your inverse point, which is going to be at 4, 0. So you just flip flop. You can plot the points that way. So how we're going to do this is we are going to practice finding the inverse. We're going to graph this, find the inverse and graph the inverse, but we're going to use the graph. We're just going to flip flop the x and y coordinates to practice graphing from a given graph. So let's start off. Let's graph our function here. So the slope on this one is 3/4. That's attached to x. There's no b value on it, so that means the b value is 0. That means our starting point is at 0, 0. So I'm going to put a green. Green star at the starting point for our original function here. Right? And then I'm going to plot and go up 3, right 4 from the starting point. Up 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2, 3, 4. Put in a point. Then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just in the opposite direction there to get another point. Actually, you know what? I want to connect these with a dotted line. So what I'm going to do is connect the original with a dotted line. Right, just so it's then I'm going to put the inverse with the with red stuff. So what I'm going to do for the inverse is I'm just going to plot. I'm just going to switch the x and y coordinates on these points. This first point, 0, 0 is easy. So that's, wow, look at that. Super irritating. Flip the x and y. So here, the coordinate of this point here is 4 in the x direction, 3 in the y. So my new point, the inverse point, actually, I'll write this over here. So what the, so here, the 4, 3, and then the inverse of that point, right, is going to be 3, 4. So I'm going to go 3, 4, put a point. So there is my inverse of that point. Down here, this one is at -4, -3, right? So -4, -3. The inverse, you just flip the x and y, is going to be at -3, -4. So I'm going to do -3, -4, cover that up, that's fine, and connect. There we go. So there is our our inverse. What I do want you to do is part of the assignment is you are going to practice finding the inverse, solving the inverse. Um, so real quick, find the inverse actually of the function. And so here we go. Y is equal to 3/4 x. To solve this one, to find the inverse, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 first. Times 4, divide by 4, cancel out there. So I get 4y is equal to 3x. And then divide by 3. So I get 4y over 3 is equal to x. And then flip-flop the x and y. So it's going to be y is equal to 4/3. X is the inverse function here. And then we have a graph. Let's do another example. That one's too easy. I don't want to do that one. Let's do this one. All right. I'm going to identify the slope and y-intercept on this first graph. So the slope on this graph is -5/4. And the b value is, since it's -1, it's -1. So I'm going to start the point -1. Nope, I'm going to start the point 0, -1. So 0, -1, here's my starting point. My green, it didn't do this. Green start the starting point, and then plot the other points. So I'm going to go down 5 to the right 4 from the starting point, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the next point. Cool. I love when it puts in additional lines in. Great. Then I'm going to go in the opposite direction to get one more point. So that's going to be up 5, left 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, left 4. It's going to be right here. I don't even care about that extra line. I'm just going to leave it there. Nope. Actually, since I'm going to erase that because I want it as a dotted line for this original one, so dotted line. All right. So I have my 3 points. So first, the starting point is at 0, -1. This point down here is at that's at 4, -6. So right, 4 down 6, that's 4, -6. So I'm just writing these out. 4, -6. This point here is at -4, +4. Right? So left 4, up 4, -4, +4. The inverses of those points, I just need to flip them. So the inverse of this point is going to be -1, 0. Inverse of this point is going to be -6, 4. Inverse of that point is going to be 4, -4. So I'm going to plot those. Fix that real quick. So -1, 0. -1, 0 is right here. -6, 4. So that's to the left 6, up 4. And then 4, negative. That's supposed to be a -4 here. That's to the right 4, down 4. And so our inverse function is, like that. There we go. All right. Oh, and then let's one more thing. I do want you practicing finding the inverse. So y is equal to -5/4 x minus 1. I'm going to solve for x to find the inverse. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. You get y plus 1 is equal to negative 5 force x. Then I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. When I multiply this side by 4, I'm going to have to do the whole side. So this cancels out. I'm going to have to distribute over here. So on the left side, I get 4y plus 4 is equal to negative 5 x, and then divide both sides by negative 5. You have to divide the whole side here by negative 5. And we can leave this as this. So 4y plus 4 all over negative 5 is equal to x. Last step is you switch your x and y. I'm going to write it with the y on the left side. So it's going to be y is equal to 4x plus 4 all over negative 5. And that will do it. I think that'll be good enough for today. I'm tired of fighting with this board anyways. We will see you guys next time when talking about starting getting into logs. Fun. See you then.